Hey everybody, so I wanted to do kind of a tutorial on how to play the chords for You've Got a Friend in Me. So I was kind of figuring out how I was going to do it, and I started to make a video. I've done these. It's called Correct the Chords on my second channel. It's called See Bleezy Knows, but I wanted to start doing them over here because I know some of you would be interested in it. And so I started making this video and I'm like, holy, this is really complicated and I want to get everybody talking the same language. So this is my first video that's just kind of getting us on the same page. So if you've taken a few years of music theory or you're in college for it, maybe this is a good refresher course, but it's certainly not for you. If you are a beginner and you want to figure out what I'm talking about when I'm saying like 5 of 5 of 6 chord here or whatever, then check it out. So this is just to get everybody talking the same language when I make that other video, which will come out later, where I really dig into exactly what's happening there, okay? Now I want to be clear, I just learned that by listening to it, and so I'm analyzing the chords myself to figure out what is actually happening. You can play it by just learning the notes, and you don't have to know what's going on. So if you're looking to do that, you know, buy the sheet music and you can do that. This is the other side of it, which is, you know, kind of how to write music. How did Randy Newman write this song, and what is actually happening? So that's for that. Let's take a step back and talk about some very basic music theory. So that one's in E flat, and I know that because the first, you know, few notes are literally just an E flat triad, but like, walk that back. What's an E flat triad? So let's jump to the key of C, which means all of the white keys on a piano just happen to be, those are the way that it's spaced out. That's the key of C. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Sounds like that. A major chord, okay? Now we can talk about like super basic, which is what makes a major scale, which is a series of half steps and whole steps. But really what it is a series of half steps and whole steps that are in the same order. So if you just look at the notes that are in between the notes that I'm playing here, and again, it's just the white key so you can actually see them happening, but the first two, there's one note in between, so that's a whole step, that's what that means. Second two, there's a note in between, so that's a whole step. But between the third and the fourth, there's no note in between, so that's a half step. Whole step, one in between, whole step, one in between, whole step, and the last one is a half step, which means there's no note in between, again. And so that exact order of intervals, half steps and whole steps, in that order, no matter where you start on the piano, makes a major scale, okay? So that's a whole step, half step, whole, half. So if you ever hear a music teacher go whole, half, that's talking about a major scale. And so pick any note on the piano here, okay? So who cares what it's called? We call it an F sharp or a G flat. Who cares? It's this specific note. And if we do one note in between, one note in between, no note in between, one note in between, one note in between, one note in between, no note in between, that creates a major scale. Okay? So anywhere on the piano, that's what we talk about when we say a major scale. And it just happens to be, if we start on this note, it's all the white keys. So it's really easy to talk about because you can visually see. If I play any of the black keys, you know it's outside of the key. And so we're just going to talk about the white keys, just C major. Ugh. Okay. So now we have to talk about things that are bigger than a half step or a whole step. Again, half step, no note in between, whole step, one note in between. So now we get up to a third, okay? We have a minor third or a major third. Those are the only kinds of thirds we can have. If you go one further, you have a fourth. It's no longer a third. And if you go one fewer, again, that's a major second, okay? A whole step. So we can only do this, which is a minor third with 2 notes in between, or this, which is a major third with 3 notes in between, okay? So if we count half steps, 1, 2, 3 half steps is a minor third. 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps is a major third. Just so we can talk about it visually, I'm going to talk about it as how many notes are in between. So 3 notes in between for a major third, 2 notes in between for a minor third. So now if we only do the white keys, only the C major scale notes, and do thirds, so any kind of third you can make, either a major third or a minor third, just pay attention. So C, if we start on C and do a third above, it's a major third. There are 3 notes in between. And if we move this third up to the next third you can make, starting on D, you can notice there's 2 notes in between. So that one's now a minor third, okay? Now pay attention to the numbers. 1 is a major third. If we skip up to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 3 notes in between. That's also a major third. To 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, starting on G, 3 notes in between. So from C and F and G, the 1, the 4, and the 5, those all make major thirds. 3 notes in between, 3 notes in between, 3 notes in between. So if you hear me say 4, 5, 1, we're probably talking about a major chord, and a major chord. Okay, but we're only talking about thirds. Now we go to minor thirds. So starting on the 2, the D, there's 2 notes in between. Starting on E, 2 notes in between, that's the 3. So 1, 2, 3, 2 notes in between, that's a minor third. Now we already said 4 and 5 are major, F and G, 3, 3. Now if we go to 6, there's 2 notes in between, that's a minor third. And B, the 7, 2 notes in between, that's a minor third. So going from C, major third, minor third, minor third, major third, major third, minor third, minor third. Those are the only kinds of thirds you can make in one key without borrowing for another key, okay? So again, pick any chord, or any scale rather, any major scale, and if we're just playing notes within that scale, you're going to get, I think I did one wrong. Okay? That's exactly the order of thirds you're going to get. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor. Okay? Now, that's the basics of what we're going to talk about. But now we're going to add another third. And that's where the word triad comes from. That's 2 thirds. Creates a triad, also known as just a chord, okay? Now a chord can have way more things on top of it. A triad is just 2 sets of thirds on top of each other. Now you can have a major third or a minor third, right? But you could have a major third and a minor third. You could have a minor third and a major third. You could have 2 minor thirds, or you could have 2 major thirds. Those are the only kinds of triads you can have because those are the only different kinds of thirds that you can put together. It's just a math problem at that point. So if we have a major third on the bottom, and then stacked on top of that is a minor third on top, so starting with the top of the major third, that's a major third. And then starting with the third, and you start there and have a minor third on top, so 3 notes in between, 2 notes in between, that's a major triad. So again, anywhere on the piano, let's do a different one here. Okay, so we need 3 notes in between, 1, 2, 3. And now 2 notes in between that, 1, 2. That creates a major triad. Major third and a minor third. Anywhere on the piano. You don't have to know what it's called. We can apply words to it later to make it super easy to talk about. But for now, major third and a minor third. Major triad. So if we start on another one of our major thirds, we had 1, 4, and 5. C, F, and G. Those are all our major thirds. Those are the only major thirds. So if we start on F, and then add this one, which is a minor third, 2 notes in between, that creates an F major triad. So C major triad, starting on C, F major triad, or G, 3 in between and 2 in between, a major third and a minor third. Those are the only 3 major triads you can make using only the white keys. If we wanted to do other ones, we'd have to start borrowing from other keys. Now, let's start with a minor third on the bottom. So that's major third on the bottom, minor third on top. That's a major chord, major triad. If we start with a minor third on the bottom and put a major third on top, so this is a minor third. And remember, F to A, that was one of our major thirds, 3 in between. So minor third on the bottom, major third on top. That's a minor triad. So we could do that with the 2, D, with the 3rd scale degree. Da-da-dum. Minor third, 2 in between, major third, 3 in between. Okay, so now we've done the 4 and 5 are major. Now we have 6, minor third, 2 in between, major third, 3. That's a minor third as well, or a minor triad as well. So now we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We haven't done 7 yet because that's a special one. That one's different. So going through without that one, we have major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. And remember, this one was a minor third, but there's something special there because this is a minor third with 2 in between. And if we start there, this is a minor third with 2 in between. So we've done major third on the bottom, minor third on top. We've done minor third on the bottom, major third on top, and now on the 7th scale degree, we can do 2 minor thirds stacked on top of each other without borrowing notes from any other key. So always on the 7th scale degree, you're going to have what's called a diminished triad, which is 2 minor thirds stacked on top of each other. 2 in between, 2 in between, right? 2 minor thirds. Now what we haven't done is 2 major thirds stacked on top of each other, and that's because that's impossible to do within one key. You have to start borrowing from other keys. And so let's just start on C and make an, it's called an augmented triad. That's 2 major thirds stacked on top of each other. So 3 in between. Now if we want to do 3 in between here, 1, 2, 3, we have to go to this note. And that's what an augmented triad sounds like. And it's impossible to do within one key. That's why it's not as seen as much. But you've got a friend in me. That's what this is. 3 in between, 3 in between. Right at the top of that song. So that's why I wanted to talk about all of this stuff first, just so when I say augmented chord, or I say, you know, the 2 chord, we all know what we're talking about. So the 2 chord in the key of C is D minor. It's not just D, it's D minor, because we're just using notes from the C scale. And if I say a major 2, then I'm saying something more. I can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you know what I mean. You know what I mean. A major 1, a minor 2, a minor 3, a major 4, a major 5, a minor 6, and a diminished 7. Because that's what they are. And if I say something different, then it's because there's something else happening. Minor 4 would be crazy because that's not what we're used to hearing. Now, there's another way to talk about this stuff, which I'm going to explain.